Guten Tag, mein Kapitän und Crew. Wie gehen Sie? Hello, sim captains and crew, and welcome to London Stanstead. Today, we're going to end this series with our Cirrus SF-50 and fly all the way to Munich. This will be the final part in our four-part series where we've featured the SF-50. We've showed cold and dark, we've gone through the programming of the G1000, and we've done a general aviation flight planning tutorial. Welcome aboard. Hello everybody and welcome aboard. Going to shut our door here. I'll slide up into the seat. As you can see, we're cold and dark, so if you don't know how to start the SF-50 or the Vision Jet, please see our tutorial. I'll put a link in the top right here. We're just going to run through this. So battery 1 and 2 on, nav will be on. As everything comes up there, we'll verify our brakes are on. Throttle's down, fuel control to auto. And no one around there. At this time, I'm going to pause the sim. I'll load the flight plan in. We'll have that tutorial also included in the video description, and you guys will rejoin me for our departure down to Munich. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I've loaded the flight plan here. We're going to use the Det 1 Romeo departure, which I believe was also in my flight planning tutorial. So that is currently loaded with all of our altitude restrictions on our departure as we head out toward Detling and then on to Dover for the brief channel crossing there. One other thing I did want to look at is I want to make sure my fuel load is what I had in there, which I believe was 1,600 pounds. Here we go, weight and balance. We wanted 1,600 pounds of fuel. And payload weight of 599. You know what? Just because I haven't flown this aircraft for very long, I'm going to throw on an extra 200 pounds as a fudge in there. If you'll remember, if you've seen the flight planning tutorial, we're estimating around 562 pounds an hour at high-speed cruise of 300 knots. That's a little lower than that at 240. So I'm going to add on a little bit more. 1,600, 1,800 pounds is what I want. That takes us really close to gross. Our payload weight, let's just say it's 2 passengers and some baggage, so let's call that, I don't know, 400 pounds. So that'll get us a little bit further under the gross takeoff weight there. Go ahead and save that, apply changes, and we'll get this out of our way. Okay, our flight plan is loaded here, and I'm going to click back over. I have a separate laptop here set up, so I want to look for ATIS. I know I can hit the map key here, but actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do that. I'll press M for map. We'll click on Stanstead here. That's the airplane. Actually, we'll just pull ATIS here. Wind 300 at 6. That's going to favor a 22 departure, which is good because that's what we have loaded up. Variable 270 to 340, 29902. You can see here we're set at 29064. Get that set 29002. Our top altitude for the departure is Slide over here so you guys can see that as well. 5,000 feet, 34 miles, or 26 miles. 5,000, so we have 5,000 set here as well. I'm going to type in Detlings. I keep typing the wrong button here on this other computer. 117.3 is Detling. We're going to use GPS for the navigation, but we'll go ahead and set it up. So 117.3. And there we go. And we get the DET, so there's our ident. So that one is set as well. You can see here we have the GPS. We'll set that at VR1. Okay, and I think now we have all of our departure information set. So let's go ahead and click run here. Oops. Sorry. We'll monitor our engine start. EGT's coming up in 1 as well. Looks like we have a good start there. Wait for that pressure and temperature to come up a little bit there. Volts good, amps good. Fuel we have. While we're here, let's go ahead and set our trim to the takeoff range. I have a key configured for that. The trim wheel is right here. There's no indicator here. It's all on the G1000. So we are running there. We will get our windshield heating on low. Panel lighting, we're good. We're flying during the day. We'll turn it up just a little bit there. Probe heat, we'll go ahead and turn that on. Strobe landings can stay off. We'll get our generators on. And then if you actually notice right here on the bottom, the voltage is 19.9 when we click the generators on. If any one of the generators are on, you get the 26.5 volts. So our oil temperature's coming up nicely. Again, we're going to head out runway 22. So I will go ahead and set the heading bug to approximately that. So that's set there. And we'll just go ahead and wait another moment or two and let everything come up to temperature, and we'll be ready for our taxi. Okay, our temperatures are coming up nicely. We will go ahead and start our taxi here. We're currently positioned over at Harrods, and we're looking for a runway 22 departure. That's actually we actually have to taxi across the runway here and then kind of backtrack. So I want to make a left turn, and we'll make a right onto Victor. We'll cross, and then that looks like we want to pick up left on November. So we'll try that out, and we'll imagine we've gotten taxi clearance here as well. We'll look to our left. Looks clear. I have noticed this aircraft taxis in 40% kind of gets you close, but it seems like it needs a bit more throttle than some of the bigger airplanes. Of course, we're also heavy here as well. We'll taxi straight ahead there, and then that's where we will cross. You can see there we've got a couple aircraft on approach. This is the first time I'm actually running with the LiveTraffic plugin. So that source is ADS-B data that's out there. It's free, available on the xplane.org store. If you follow the instructions, which are detailed, it's a little lengthy to install, but it functioned just fine for me the first time. So that worked out well. I did forget, I'm going to turn our transponder on. We will do standby. And we will be IFR today, so pull up here to Victor 1. Sometimes with this LiveTraffic plugin, you the aircraft will land and then they kind of disappear. Like this guy's stopping, he'll probably end up disappearing here. Yeah, there we go. But it is a neat feature to have. Here you can see actually we've got 2 aircraft sitting over there, or on approach. And I'm just going to make up a squawk here. Let's do 3, 2, 1, 0. Sure, we'll go with that. Okay, so he's a ways out here, so we'll imagine Tower has approved us across Victor 1 here, cross runway 22 at Victor 1. As we pass the instrument hold line there, you can see that's the one that looks like a ladder. In the future, I'm going to do an airfield tutorial and just kind of show some of the features around here. The double striped with the double striped dash that we're crossing now. We're getting a little close there as the Ryanair comes in. That was that Ryanair 2435. That is the VFR hold line that we're coming across there. So we will get across here. Yeah, that would probably get us in trouble with some regulating authorities. All right, so we're crossed. Looks like we've got hotel coming up here. Let me consult back to my chart here as well. Got another Ryanair on approach. This is the default scenery here at Stanstead. I have no add-ons, at least that I'm aware of. Anything, it actually looks fairly decent, as well as some of the terrain elevations. So anything that you're seeing here is either included X-Plane or something they've added on through the patches. Again, I just have the LiveTraffic. This is the default Cirrus Jet SF50. And the other flight brother and I, we were having some discussions about this, and it's kind of what led to this series, was that some people, especially as X-Plane 11 has really starting to gain a foothold in the market, FSX and P3D are just older sims, and they haven't been able to keep up as well with some of the system architecture and things that have changed over time. So people, I think, are starting to come over to X-Plane 11. So in the discussions, we decided, well, let's do some default airplanes. There are fantastic add-ons out there. Between us, we have, I think, most of, we have the Flight Factor 320, the 757, 767 extendeds, and of course Zebos, which those are excellent study level sims. But for those coming over from other platforms or just getting into X-Plane, we want to highlight the default ones. So as I'm recording this one, we actually have another one recorded for the default 747-400. So we'll go through that. It's a cold and dark through a takeoff to kind of get you on your way. But we plan on doing it with most of the aircraft, especially the civilian ones included in the game. That way everyone can just kind of jump in and enjoy the sim for what it is. And as conditions today are VFR, we're going to go ahead and pull up to the VFR hold line here. And then we'll ready the aircraft for departure. We'll put our brakes on. All right, looks good there. Temperature is 14, so we'll have to go with the heats on pretty soon. All right, landing lights, strobe lights are on. We'll take a look at G-Kitty. One final time there. All right, we'll Go ahead and get out here and get our show on the road. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and swap the course deviation indicator over to the GPS so that it's ready there. We'll check that final one more time. Oh, hold on. We'll wait for this Ryanair and then we'll shoot out there. Looks like our ADS-B data might be off a little bit there from the airport scenery, but still cool enough to add a little bit of life to an otherwise sterile airport. We'll go ahead and line up and wait, or line up and wait here. And there is another aircraft I saw out there somewhere. Yeah, he's a ways out there. We'll hop back in here. And as soon as that Ryanair disappears, we'll probably get out of here. Now I read an article on this aircraft, and it looked like they use the climb out speed of 160. So we're gonna do 160 for best rate of climb, and he's gone. So we're gonna go ahead and go. Get on out of here. Very, very bumpy runway here. Probably should have got a wind check before I left. We are flaps up. At 100, I'm going to rotate. Positive rate, gear up. We're going to pitch for 160. And then 5,000 is going to be our stop. We'll pull the throttle back just a little bit. Okay, left to 162. I'm going to spin my heading bug over there. Level back out here. Looks like I was a little early on that turn. We'll go down here. We will get our autopilot on. So we'll go autopilot, nav, and then it'll rotate over and or it'll make the right turn to get back on course there. And then what we're going to do is we're at 166 knots. I'm going to slow it down to 160. And then what I'm going to do is hit the flight level change right now. And then now I'm going to add more power. So since we have 5,000 feet armed, it's now going to climb and then pitch for 160 knots. So as you can see, our vertical speed's climbing up there, and it's closing pretty quick. We'll pull power back a little bit just to make sure it doesn't overshoot. But now you can see we're on our GPS line. I'll worry about that in a minute. Okay, we're accelerating, so we want to stay below 250 knots. And then also, if you depress the heading button, it will snap to the course that you have, or your current heading. I'm going to let the aircraft settle in, and then when we get over Detling, I'd like to do a fuel check just to see how it's comparing. We left with 1,800 pounds on the aircraft, which was a little extra over. Again, since this is a sim or a default aircraft and I have limited experience, I don't know what its actual fuel burn is versus the data that we were able to find on Wikipedia. So just in case that's different before you launch off on some of these planes, especially at a range that's going to be toward the end or the maximum of their range, you kind of want to find out if there's any errors in that, so that way you can work around it or adjust accordingly. For the time being, we're held at 5,000 feet, where we will be, I think, until, I believe until Dover. Let me slide over here and we'll take a look. Oh, sorry, Detling. Yeah, so we'll be at 5,000 for the next about 30 miles. I don't think you guys want to sit here and watch that, so I'll wait till we get there. We'll do a fuel check, and then we'll begin our climb to our cruise altitude of 270. So one thing I had noticed here, just behind us a little bit, so I look back, we had some clouds that we were running through right at 5,000, and the aircraft was kind of porpoising a little bit. It was having difficulty holding altitude. Not sure if that was due to, I don't know, any convective or thermal activity within it or not. We were fluctuating, 200 to 300 feet above and below our assigned altitude. So and now it seems like it's smoothed out as we get ready to cross Detling here. So as soon as we cross Detling, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw it up to 270. We'll climb out again at 160 knots. I guess these are gallons here. Probably should have looked. I'm not seeing where our pounds are here. Okay, so there's Detling. Then we will adjust our altitude here to what do we want? 70, I believe. And let's go vertical speed. We'll spin. Oops. Let's see. Okay, VS. All right, not sure what's going on here. So let's go flight level change at 228. Push the throttles forward. We'll get climbing until I can figure out how I need to get it back into vertical speed mode. And I just realized that I forgot to set the clock, which I showed how to, and then I currently can't remember. Back. There we go. When I go back and run the recording, I'll have to see what my actual start time was here. We'll just leave that up for the time being. Still climbing 165 through, somehow we ended up at 299 or 2, which I don't think that's what we were originally, so perhaps I clicked it and it set it to standard there. We'll continue to climb out and see how it looks as we near Dover. across the channel. It actually looks like there's quite a busy area there right down below us. I don't know, perhaps that's the train or some shipping crossings there as we come out into France. We are nearing our final cruise altitude of flight level 270. And the inspiration for this flight, oddly enough, in addition to doing the default aircraft, we were looking at some of the metrics on the channel, and as of recording when we were looking at that, it was probably close to 2 months now. But what we found is behind the United States, the United Kingdom and Germany were our second and third highest at the time of coming up with this idea, our second and third highest in viewership. So we figured, well, why not leave an airport or fly do a trip through some of our the nations that have the highest viewership, you know, with our channel. So kind of a cool idea. This has been fun. I don't typically fly, being US based. We spend a lot of time flying United States, or at least I do. So the chance to do something different and fly over a lot of European countries, there's 1,000 to go. To fly over some European countries is kind of interesting, and see some new sites and airports and procedures, that kind of stuff. So it makes for a fascinating experience. But we'll probably continue to go down through the metrics. I like to do it, and if we can find other countries or nations that are high up on our viewership or watch time or subscribers, you know, then we might include you guys in a future one. Actually, somebody from New Zealand asked us, so you know, if we were going to do any trips down there, and I responded back and asked if he had any ideas. So I hadn't received a response yet, but maybe if he does at some point, we'll make a trip down there, be it a GA flight or maybe even a simulated airline flight. So we're nearing our cruise altitude of 270. It's about to level off. And I've been kind of out of practice on this flight, guys. I apologize for that. You know, I forgot the transponder. I forgot to set the timer. Crossing 10,000, I still had my landing lights on. So I was shooting some external clips here to include, and noticed that. So not doing too smooth. Our flight brief today was, let me see if I can pull that up here. Yeah, 1 hour and 48 minutes is our flight time today. I started it a little late, so, and it also dawned on me that on this aircraft we have fuel displayed, fuel quantity in gallons, and then we have fuel flow in gallons per hour as well. So I think when I did our flight planning tutorial, it was actually in pounds. So as you can see, that's a different measurement. So we'll have to convert. I forget what jet fuel is. I think it's around 7. Something's around 6.6 or 6.8, and 7. Another one's 7. I don't know if that's 100 low lead and jet fuel. I forget. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I'm actually going to check back here with the other computer I have to our laptop here. Looks like it was showing 462 pounds. Our speed's creeping up here. As you can see, we're looking at our Mach speed. Ground speed over here on the PFD is actually really good, 344 knots. That's moving right along on this thing. So that's kind of our status right there. And I'll check back in with you guys a little later. Again, we've reached our cruise altitude now. So I'm going to let the speed climb a little bit more, and then I'm going to pull that throttle back. I'm going to do some off-camera calculations to find out what fuel level we should be burning to make sure we have enough to get there. So I looked online, and according to a jet fuel pounds to gallons conversion, it looks like one gallon is 6.8 pounds. So in order for me to get my 462 pounds per hour, that needs to be about 67.9. So if we look here at our fuel flow, it's at 73. I'm going to pull that back to about 67. And there we go. I'll just fly at that and we'll see what kind of speed that gives us here. Let it kind of settle for a moment. And I think that was our high-speed cruise, which is about 300 true. So if we look at our ground speed again, covering the ground at 342, slowing down slightly. One of the other features I did not include in the cold and dark of this aircraft up here is the CAPS, the Cirrus airframe parachute system. You can actually pull this and deploy a chute. I'm not going to do it on this flight. Maybe if I've got time, I might take it up and deploy it and then throw it on the back end of this recording just for the sake of doing so. But I did find it was nearly impossible to control, which I guess kind of makes sense. It's a parachute and you would use it as a last resort. But anyway, there's the handle. So if you want to take your Cirrus up and pull it, that's how you do it. We've just crossed over Famine at this time. We still have a good ground speed there of 333 knots. Our fuel flow, I'm kind of running the throttle by the fuel flow, so I'm trying to stay there on our cruise conversion. If we go up, we've been airborne 30 minutes, but I started this late, so about 40 minutes. And I'm curious as to how much fuel that we've actually burned at this point. So I'm going to click the edit weight and balance. If you'll remember, we started at 1,800 pounds. And we're almost down to 1,200, so about 600 pounds thus far that we've burned. Go back to resume here. So I just wanted to check and see how much fuel that we've consumed so far, and I think that's moving along pretty well. I think we were looking at around 200 pounds for our climb and departure, and then 462 for the first hour on average, so that's around about 670 pounds in the first hour, so we'll check back on that. We might be a little bit high, our taxi might have been a little lengthy, but with our reserves and everything, I don't think we'll have any problems with that. Just a quick status check. We're nearly halfway here as we approach I believe it was Rousey, sorry. Approaching Rousey, about to make our course change here. And for some reason, this thing always likes to roll the opposite direction and then go back to the way it's supposed to go. Anyway, so we're crossing Rousey about halfway. Fuel's looking good so far. And before you hop in this thing, and I don't even know if it'll make it up that high and skyrocket to 30,000, I was kind of just scrolling down top to bottom here on our instrumentation. And if you'll notice, the differential pressure here is right at the red line. This aircraft at the time was certified for flight level 280. We're at 270, obviously very close there. If you have seen the flight planning tutorial based on Cirrus's website, I think they're now certified to 310. So remember, if you try and hop into the X-Plane default one and climb to 310, I don't know if it'll experience a failure or if this will climb higher or not, but something to keep in mind there between these. But anyway, we are again passing Rousey, and we're heading down to GTQ, which I think that might be in Belgium. Grostenquin. Also, I've done a little research here. Looks like for our arrival, we're going to set up for LMOX and LevBoo 1 Charlie RNAV. So we're going to come in on that because Dinkelbuhl is on that approach procedure. So we'll that's our last waypoint that we have programmed here into the flight plan. A DKB down at the bottom. So we're going to fly that RNAV approach, and then we're going to set up for ILS runway 26 right. I have to double check on where we were parking today, but I believe it was just to the south of that runway. So again, we're 43 at about 10, so we're about 53 minutes into an hour and 48-minute flight, and we'll check back in with you guys later. So I'm trying to actually load the approach in here, and it looks like I've ended up on an Akanu, Anora, and Rixt 3 Alpha arrivals for runway 26. Now I don't quite have, my routing's not stitched together, so I'm going to kind of select one of these and just make it work, I guess. So can't find the VOR there, Dinkelbuhl, according to the approach chart. So I'm going to just select this Anora 3 Alpha here. Anora 3 Alpha. And we want 26 right. Enter. And we'll load that one. We'll take a look here at take a look at what this looks like now. So Dinkelbuhl to Anora. And Anora is below 25,000 feet. That's correct. And then there's a Burham for runway 26 is below 16,000. Oh, 15,000, so that's correct. Rock Hill, that's going to be left 075 to Mick, yep. And then I'm assuming that's going to be vectors, so we'll go ahead and go to procedures and then select our approach as well. And we want ILS 26 right. Enter. Yeah, we'll try and figure out vectors, I suppose. We'll see how it looks when we get there. And we'll load it. And let's see how that looks now. Rock Hill. EDDM. Good egg. And if I look at the ILS approach chart, it's looking like Good Egg's going to be at 5,000, and then we'll go ahead and fly it all the way in. So we've got our information loaded into the not PFD, MFD now. So the rest of our flight will be fine, and we actually won't be descending until Anora. So we've still got quite a ways to go, and as you can see here, we're just over an hour into the flight time, even though my timer's off. And everything's going fine now. We'll clean up our heading bug, and we'll talk to you guys probably closer to top of descent. As we near here to Munich, I've pulled up the METAR currently for a EDDM, and looks like currently winds are 280 at 6, ceiling visibility okay, temperature 7, 2.0, QNH 1020, which is 30.12 inches of mercury, and nothing significant outside of that. Alright, you go to heading. Just going to take this thing over. So descend to 5,000, and I want to go direct. Oops, sorry. I want 5,000, and then I want MIQ. Take me there. Alright, so there's kind of where we need to go. Alright, it's 35 miles out. Outside air temperature is negative 27. We have visible moisture. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the anti-ice. Now I'm going to see if I can actually load also the approach. I want ILS 26 right, enter. Let's go to that. Let's activate. Let's see what happens here. All right, let me see if I can get her back on the GPS here. So let's go back to nav. Getting a slight course adjustment there, that's fine. This is telling us, it looks like we want a better vertical speed required, negative 1900 feet a minute. So I'm going to pull power back even further. The aircraft's going to be dropping. It's still in IAS hold. Hey, look at that traffic. That would definitely be a TCAS RA, I would imagine. Lufthansa. Let's see, what is that one here? Let's go to our plugins and then our LiveTraffic aircraft info. Lufthansa 120. Actually, it's heading to Munich as well. Or we might be following that guy. Except unlike us, he knows where he's going. Just as of note here, I have power all the way back to idle. I think our Lufthansa disappeared over there. But you guys can see here we are trying to get down to 5,000 feet at Mike India, Quebec, which is right here. Based on our flight path angle of negative 2.5, this would be our desired. However, in order to reach that, we're descending at this rate. So you can actually see, and then here's our vertical deviation. So we're trying to catch it. Looks like we're going to get close. We're dropping at 2050, and vertical required is 1640. So we can actually add some power now, level it out, and then let's do that. Let's add just a touch of power. See if we can get our vertical speed to match the 1600. I already have 1087, as you can see, loaded here. India Mike November Whiskey. That's our ILS for 28 right. So that is set up and good as well. Once we get around there and onto the approach, then we will put our OBS into nav, and then we'll get our glide slope data right here, and our ILS, or our localizer centerline information here. So we are level 5,000 feet here. We're going to be inbound again, runway 28 right, and our final approach course will be 261, which I actually have set here on our CDI. If we click over to Loc 1, we'll have 261 there. We'll go back to GPS. So I have that set as well. And we will be parking today at Signature Flight Support here in Munich. So we're going to be landing on the runway there toward the top of the screen, and then we'll taxi back and head in there. The taxiway is apparently near the Victoria's Secret lingerie store. As we move in here, the aircraft will begin, and there it goes, making the right turn. Should be on about a 106 as we head toward Gudeg, G-U-D-E-G, and then we'll be heading around for that final approach course. Start slowing down a little bit here. For some reason it looks like an overshot. So I'm really not sure what happened here. Apparently on the GPS it for some reason okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Trying to get the aircraft turned here to Mike Alpha Hotel. For some reason, as I scroll the wheel here, nothing's happening. So and now it's decided it's going to do whatever it wants to do. So those clouds are really jacking us up here. You actually rejoined me to the sharp eagle-eyed viewers of you. My timer is gone here. I actually had while I was on approach here, not long after, well, before MIQ, had a crash to desktop, and I'm not sure why that happened. I think the weather combined with the recording and the video was a little too much, so I think I ran out of resources. I tried to closely mimic where the fuel is, so I think we're close. I look here, we're at 730 pounds, so in editing, once I go back here and look through it, hopefully that's close. So I'm going to fly to Mike Alpha Hotel, what is that, 3-4? Yeah, Mike Alpha Hotel 3-4. Let's see if I can get this to work for us here. Menu. Let's see if I can activate leg. What does that do to us? Alright, well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna kind of just do this. We'll hold this heading here. Gudeg's gonna put us at 11 miles and 5,000 feet, so that'll give us plenty of time to slow down. So we'll intercept here. I'm gonna kick the speed up a little bit more, around 200 knots or so. no sense in watching me fly straight for the next few miles, so I'll pick you up as we roll into final approach. So we're abeam Gudig right now. It's to our right side. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go heading mode. Start heading over there. Setting up for this approach. And again, that final approach course is going to be 261, intercepted 5,000 feet. We'll want to be configured around 5 miles. If we have to go mist, then we will we'll climb straight ahead to 1 DME and or 1900, whichever's later, and a right turn direct, Mike India, Quebec, NDB, climbing to 5,000 again. Actually, if we look over here, there it is. So probably need to crank it pretty hard here. Got overshot it a little bit, so. And I'm going to go localizer there. Yeah, we flew way through it there. Another airport. Or the approach for the south side. This is perfect. Glad I'm recording all this. That way you guys can sit back and enjoy and have a laugh with me. Alright, so I will disconnect here. Start slowing it down. Below the glide slope there, so we're going to bring power back as well. 1.5 low. And we must have missed that turn by about a mile. Okay, we got the localizer coming in. Let's see. We're going to bring it down, get it in the wide arc, and extend flaps. First notch out there, glide slope's coming up. A little bumpy here. Okay, we have landing lights on, nav strobe on, probe heat on, and engine and wing is on. We're going to make our heading here 261 is what we'd like. Right there, I'm going to hit heading. We were kind of close. Okay, first notch of flaps. Really pushes the nose up there. Alright, trimming down. It was quite a pitch up there. And now you can see the vertical speeds plummeting as well. And now we're really high again. I'm not sure how accurate this is. We're gaining speed. I'm going to pull power again, and I'm going to get the flaps out here as well. Or, sorry, the gear down. Help us bleed off some of this energy. There we go. Glide slope's coming back in now. Start trimming up. Gonna watch that center line. Okay, we've got one red. On the Pappies, we're 1 dot high. Well, if you guys can hear the clicking in the background, that's me on the trim there. Okay, we're 2 dots and 2 dots. That's good. We're on the PAPI. We're 2 white, 2 red. That's good. We're a little below path, so I'm going to give a little more power. A little left on the, or a little right on the localizer. Need to go a little left. Glide path a little low. And adjust power again. We're about around 700 feet is a good 3-degree glide angle, roughly at around 120, 130 knots approach speed. Still 2 and 2 outside, and then we are center and just a little above path. There's our 500. Reaching minimums here soon. And again, I'm just bouncing back and forth on that on the trim, trying to keep it settled. Power is pretty much stable right now. There's somebody taking off in front of us. Again, that's the LiveTraffic plugin. By the looks of it, they're either not moving or slow, or I don't know what Batrieb is. Possibly that's an airport vehicle. Center, and there goes the glide slope dropping out. We can see it off to the right side there as we fly by it right now. And we'll reduce power. Power coming back. Actually, I don't think I put out the other notch of flaps. See ya. Ooh, that was a little solid. Alright, brakes on. I'll turn off here at Alpha 9. Go ahead and pull up here. It flaps up. Oops, clean it up. And let Tower know that G Kitty is clear of runway 28 right at Alpha 9, I think it was. Alright. Trying to look at my airport chart here. Let's go straight here. Alright. Let's get probe heat off, engine and wings off. Strobes and landings off. It's good, all that. You know what? We probably don't need ice anymore as well. There's our instrument hold line. Probably should have moved past that. Okay, where are we at on Alpha 9? We want to go across Alpha 9 here. We're trying to park at Signature. See a couple aircraft. This is a pretty good airport apparently for the LiveTraffic. Lots of data tags around. Looks like we're going to make a pretty tight left here as soon as we get into this ramp. See how that effect works. Okay, I think I kind of want to go over here to the left. And Signature is going to be over to the left as well. It's this blue line. Delta 6 blue. looks about right. If I read this correctly, the building up to our right, up ahead there should be Signature. I believe this is another FBO over here to the left. Well, I guess I've already driven past them. And if I'm reading the chart right here, it looks like apron possibly 12, Delta 6. Okay, well, let's go forward here. I need to follow me, truck. Whatever, we'll call this good. Okay. Parking brake is set. Fuel. There we go. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at how much fuel we have left as well. There's that 621. All right. So where was I? The parking brake is set. Throttle is all the way back. Fuel control to auto. Let's see. We have our nav is on because the engine's running. So let's go. Gen's off. Engine control to off. We have shutdown of N1 EGT fog, N2 as well. Nav lights can go off. And battery is also off. Willkommen, mein Damen und Herren. Welcome to Munich, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this flight. And we'll see you guys again here next time on Flight Brothers FT. Remember, plan the flight and fly the plan.